Systems and design just feel like they automatically clash. But the reality is that systems need to exist in an efficient, productive, and profitable business. And one of the best systems to introduce to your fashion business is PLM. Which PLM system is always the question. And as a designer, I'm always looking for a system that is designer friendly. And I think Centric may have cracked the code. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Mikkel Drew Pelham. I talk about digital fashion design software and communication on this channel. So if that's something you're interested in, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell. I previously made this video giving a general overview of PLM and how it's used in fashion. And one of the things I also mentioned is that there are many options, one of them being Centric. Interestingly enough, before I started speaking with them about possibly collaborating on a video, I've been hearing more and more companies talking about Centric being their PLM system. I'd even interviewed at a company with a designer where she'd spoken about how she really liked the system, which definitely piqued my interest because I had never heard a designer say that they liked using PLM. So as I spoke with some of the representatives and learned more about it, I began to understand why designers were singing Centric's praises. There's a lot of really great design-forward features that help connect what designers do to the overall system. And having used multiple PLM systems in the past, I have to say this was really refreshing because most systems are really not created with the designer in mind. At least they never felt that way to me. Centric actually has a person or persons in the room with a design background when they're planning updates or improvements to the system. So that from jump made me feel more drawn to wanting to use it. And before we go any further, I want to mention that today's video is sponsored by Centric Software, a software solutions company that offers many things, among them PLM, planning, pricing and inventory, market intelligence, and visual board solutions for the fashion industry. The next thing that I appreciated about Centric was their commitment to working with both large and small companies and growing with them. And that becomes important for all of you starting your fashion brands. Everyone scales at different paces, but eventually that is the goal, right? To scale the brand. When you're starting out, you may not need all of the bells and whistles, but it's always good to start off with a great foundation. And as you grow, you need your technology and your systems to grow with you. One company that Centric works with that really resonated with me is Bombas. One, because I am a big fan of their socks, and two, because I remember the company starting with just one category, socks, and they've since expanded into underwear, tees, and footwear. They started in 2014. I started buying from them in 2019, and to see how far they've come in the last 10 years is pretty phenomenal. They started pretty early with Centric, and they began by using it just for tech packs. And as the company scaled, Centric worked with them to expand their system to keep up with their growth. You can watch a video about their success story and several others on the Centric website, but I related to this particular company because this was a smaller brand just starting out, like many of you, who understood the necessity of having a good systems foundation to help organize their work, their communication, and their data for smoother scalability and company growth. You all know how much we love efficiency and productivity on this channel. So the other thing I really appreciate about Centric is the increased productivity and time savings. If you're a corporate designer, you already know that you'll often spend more time than you'd probably like to update one thing on a style. For example, you drop one color and now it has to be updated on the CAD, on the BOM, in PLM, on the line sheet, and wherever else it shows up. And it's the same for a smaller independent brand. Many times it takes even more time because you might be a small team or a team of one. Centric has this great graphic on their site which shows, among other things, a 50% boost in productivity, 60% reduction in time to market, which means you can get your product to your customers faster, And they offer case studies where the design team anticipates an average time saving of 5 hours per week per team member. Think about what kind of creative and fun things you can do with those 5 hours you're getting back in your week. Next, I was able to speak with Haley Blatt, a Centric PLM expert in fashion and sustainability. First off, I was excited that the representative for fashion also had a background in fashion design, which is not something I always come across, so she had a unique understanding of how designers worked in PLM and how Centric is able to mitigate some of the pushback and resistance to a PLM system. Haley mentioned that she'd read that 30% of a designer's workday is data management. Can you believe that? Not what you signed up for, right? And so my question to Haley is, how does Centric fix this, or at least reduce that 30%? And here's a few things she mentioned. Centric has an entire product team dedicated to their Adobe connector, and they're constantly making updates to stay aligned with industry requirements, which makes the designer's life so much easier because their Adobe connector allows you to push live updates into PLM. And what that means is that you reduce the file management. You update something on your sketch, it pushes to PLM, and it automatically updates the tech pack, the line sheet, whatever other information or data that's associated with that style. And since this is all being updated in PLM, you don't need to email a million people. Those teams who might be working on that style for that season can set an alert that comes up in their dashboard. And speaking of connectors, Centric also has connectors for 3D software like Clo, Browseware, and Style 3D. So that's pretty amazing because, as we've discussed many times on this channel, 3D is the future of fashion. So it's really nice to know that they're taking steps to ensure that their PLM software can integrate seamlessly with these newer software applications. And again, live updates. So say you change the length of a dress in Clo, it will automatically push that information and can update the spec sheet. And yes, in case you're wondering, they're already working on AI integrations as well. One other thing Haley mentioned is the system stability. And this might not seem like a big deal, but when your system is unstable, it poses a lot of problems for multiple teams because everyone's working in it. I've seen it before when just having the system down for a half hour because of some weird glitch can cause a lot of problems. People are re-entering information 3 or 4 times. They can't generate tech packs. It's just a mess. The whole point of this is to make you more productive, not less. So system stability is a huge plus. Lastly, let's talk about sustainability. Something that I know is important to most of you. It's definitely important to me. And it's becoming a much more important topic of discussion for most fashion companies. On our channel, knowing that a lot of you are newer brands, we've stressed the importance of not making more than is necessary so that you don't have excess inventory to manage, which contributes to landfills. Or making more of what I like to call heirloom pieces that last longer and again, don't end up clogging landfills. Well, one of the ways to do this is to make sure that your tech pack is accurate so you don't end up with multiple pieces of incorrect styles that just get thrown away, or that you've requested the right amount of styles, that you have data that helps you plan accurately to buy what you really need to service your customer, that you are, to quote Centric's website, getting products and quantities right to reduce impact from the start. Just like building a house, it's necessary to start with a good foundation to ensure the rest of the house is solid. And it's the same when you're building a business. Now, for us creatives, a PLM system is probably not the first thing you're gravitating toward. But understand that if you're planning to have a business and not an expensive hobby, systems need to be put into place to allow you to run an efficient, productive, and yes, lucrative brand. There are a lot of options to choose from, so be clear about what you need initially and that your PLM system can grow with you. And if you are at the point where you're considering a PLM system, if you're a creative person, Centric is definitely a great option to look into. Thanks for watching today's video. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this video if you found it helpful. Have a fantastic week, and I'll see you next time.